They're blue.
And not red like...
Come on, keep coming in here. We could, like, definitely get the fire department on our cases about this. Come on in. It's not nearly a fire hazard. This is kind of like a Marx Brothers routine I saw once.
If these were workable, then yeah, then definitely.
Well, people just keep coming in and coming in. How many people can fit in this tiny room? That is awesome. We got what? 5, 10, so 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 10, 120. Looks like about 140 people. Holy shit. How many people in here are under the age of 18?
Under.
Oh, crap. And how many people are under the age of 17? Oh, crap. How many people are under the age of 16? Okay, there will be no words such as shit used in this panel. No, there are children present. Oh, she doesn't care? Oh, well, fuck it then. We'll just talk about it. It's after hours. You gotta party with the adults after hours. You gotta learn to hang with the adults, right? Yeah. That's good because I don't curve my tongue very well. As my sane daughter can attest to. So, how are you guys doing? I think this panel is Maes Hughes.
Through the eyes of Maes Hughes.
Oh yes, FMA through the eyes of Maes Hughes. Basically it's, no, don't kill me, and boom, you know, that's... Oh, I'll show you some pictures of my daughter, and don't kill me, and... sorry, but I have a wife and daughter to go home to. Yeah. I know, it's all... How many people in here cried when Hughes died? Pussies. That's not me talking, that's the Saki talking, you know. What else do you have to say to me? Oh, yeah. I agree, Saki. Okay, I guess, what?
Scissors of Doom.
Scissors of Doom. Dun dun dun. So I guess we don't have to make it all about FMA, but if you guys have any questions about FMA, I'll be happy to try my best to answer them. I was only in 1 season. And then once again in 1 season, but only for 9 episodes. Yeah, he dies much quicker in Brotherhood for some reason. All right, let me get a show of hands. I mean, everyone's seen both versions, right? Okay. Out of the people, who preferred the first version? Okay. How many people prefer the second version? It is almost every panel is 50-50 on that. Who liked both? Well, that's pretty good.
I like the first season of the first one and the second half of the second one. It's like if you split it right there, it works really well.
All right, how many people are in his camp? Oh, there you go. That's a good quarter of the crowd here. Yeah.
More Hughes, but the Brotherhood ending. So cut it at the end of the first season and then switch to Brotherhood. Or second season?
Yeah,
that's right, yeah. So cut it after Hughes and then switch to Brotherhood.
There are some things I liked about Hughes' death in Brotherhood, but I still think overall I like the first one better. Yeah.
The first one makes me cry. The second one, I'm like, oh, that was awesome. You don't know him in the second one.
Yeah.
You don't know him in the second one.
So do you guys are you guys having a good time at this con, first of all? I have to say this is the first time I've ever been to Oregon. I love this town, by the way. This is a really cool town. I mean, I am a huge fan of R. Crumb, Robert Crumb, the artist. And there's a Robert Crumb exhibit just around the corner that I just went to this afternoon. And oh my God, we would never see that in Texas. I have to say, and I love all the hippie chicks everywhere. Holy crap, I've never seen so many hippies in one area. How many hippie chicks do we have in this room? Could you please stand up? Please stand up. Please stand up with the real hippie chicks. Please stand up. Now let's get down to business. I don't have time to play around. What is this? Must be a circus in town to shut this shit down. Can I get a witness? Hell yeah. Okay. Or we just do Krillin rapping the entire session. questions about anything, and anime related, you know, I've also been a director for anime and a writer for anime, and I'm also a manga artist and writer for that too. So if you have any questions that run that entire gambit, or you know, just about my personal life, you know, go ahead. I'm an open book for the most part. 12 inches, yes. What was your question? Sorry, what? Goat. Oh, that is a good question. My manga is called We Shadows. It was published by Tokyo Pop. And it's based on the characters from A Midsummer Night's Dream, the Shakespearean comedy. It's about Puck and Titania and Oberon, but what they're doing today, right? And the main character, though, is a character called Goat, a little punk rock fairy. And Goat is actually based on an ex-girlfriend of mine named Jessica. But it's cool though, because it's a really cool character. But I remember when I first started dating Jessica, she was kind of shy, you know, and I don't know, something about my personality warped her. And I just watched her just blossom into this, you know, dynamic human being, and she's now a reporter for the Dallas Morning News, and she cusses like a sailor and stuff, and seemed to have that disease that I spread on people. But
it's a sunny disease.
Exactly, yes, you will be all walking out of here saying things your mother told you not to say. It was just such a cool thing to witness that, you know, and to watch this person come into their own, you know. And so that story is about this character coming into her own and finding out how really cool she is on the inside and her destiny. So that's who it's based on. A real person. Yeah.
If there was anything you could change about the first FMA series, what would you do?
Hughes would live longer. and would have much more lines. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Keep the promotion without having to die for it. Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's a great series, though, and I think it's a really good thing that he did die when he did, you know? I mean, even though it upset people, it made people really want to know what's going on with this, and, you know, made this second season that much more watchable, you know, gave it an impetus to keep going. Sometimes killing off a main character is a good idea. And it was a good thing for me, too. I mean, I used to get a lot of convention invites, but when Hughes died, I started getting them all the time. Hey, let's bring that dead guy. Yeah. What's your question?
Oh, how was it finding out that they were going to do Dragon Ball Z Kai, that they were going to remake the anime?
Well, we're already recording it. You know, it's already on TV. It was awesome, you know, to actually get to do that again. And for those of you who've only seen it on Nicktoons, you know, don't be distressed if you think, oh, well, it's so edited and everything, but it has to be because it's for Y7. We're also going to be on the CW channel, and we're also, I think we're also going to be on Cartoon Network too. So there'll be all sorts of versions out there that you can see. It's kind of funny to see the Y7 version of Dragon Ball Z, because you would think it's impossible, and it kind of is. There's a scene in particular that really cracks me up. It's Gohan sees this slaughtered town of Namekians, and you know the line is, "Oh my God, they killed them all!" Right? But for Y7, you can't say that. So Gohan says, "Oh no, they put them all to sleep." So I guess for a child, that is a pretty scary thing. Nobody likes to take a nap when you're 7. When you're my age, it's like, oh, good, a nap. You know, but kids don't like that. But the unedited version that we're doing is awesome, and it is far superior to the original, in my opinion. The acting is far better because we all have 12 years of chops under our belts. The writing is better because our writers have gotten a lot better too. And also the animation has been updated. The shows end on a much more natural cliffhangers. They don't last, they take a week or two to have a conversation between two foes that are about to fight. They just go ahead and fight, which is nice. I mean, it's really far superior. And it's just cool to be able to do Krillin again, you know. I've been doing Krillin for 12 years. I never thought I'd be still doing Krillin 12 years later. you know. I can't wait for the next Dragon Ball Z incarnation when I'm 57, you know, and I'll be like, Kamehameha, dude. Goku, where are you? Fuck it. I'm just gonna lay here and die. Kamehameha. Any other questions about old people? Yes?
As Hughes, could you do a rant about Alicia and getting Roy White at the same time?
About Alicia and Roy doing what?
Or needing to get a wife.
Okay, well, I gotta tell you right now, I've got some great pictures to show you, Roy. Oh my God, you cannot believe the pictures I took of her this weekend. She was on the beach and she was wearing this cute little bikini, and I know bikinis may be a little bit too old for her age, but oh my God, she looks so adorable. And if you had a wife, oh my God, you could have a child too, and then you could start your own album, then we could share albums and trade them. Oh my God, let's do that, Roy. Let's find you a wife. Thank you. Yes.
How did you get into voice acting? Like, did you start working for American cartoons or Japanese cartoons?
Yeah, I was actually into theater, live theater. That's where my background was. And Funimation moved from using Ocean Group in Canada to Texas and had open auditions. And a friend of mine from a theater I was performing in, she auditioned and didn't get a part, but she said, oh my God, you do all these character roles in our theater productions, you should audition, you'd be probably pretty good at it. So I didn't expect to get a part because I never auditioned for a voice acting role ever, but I got Krillin. So it was pretty cool, but still, you know, Krillin dies quite a bit, right? So made it a part-time job for me. But then Cartoon Network had nationwide auditions for Toonami Tom, and they went through all of their studios, and I was one of the people they asked to come in to audition, which was a really weird auditioning process for Toonami Tom because what they gave us were VHS. You know what VHS is? Some of you may be too young to remember that.
I still use them to record.
It was like a really fat DVD, okay? And it kind of worked the same way, just much slower and awkwardly.
And you had to rewind it.
Yes, you had to rewind it, yeah.
And probably 2 hours.
Yeah, you didn't just go, I want to go to this chapter, you had to go, oh yeah, go back up. Okay. And it was a DVD of Toonami Tom just walking along, you know, and doing different hand signals, but there was no suggestion as to what he should sound like. Well, he's a little robot, right? So all of us were trying to come up with robot voices and things, you know, that we thought would be appropriate. And I came into the audition. From Funimation, they asked for me, Chris Sabat, and I can't remember her name, the original Frieza, Linda Chambers. Yeah, and Linda Young now, I think is what her name is. But the three of us came in, and all of us were thinking that's what they wanted, some kind of robot voice. But what it came down to is that they said, no, we just want to hear your regular voice, you know, he's just, you know, and so Chris was really confused. He's like, what do you mean by regular voice? And so he tried something, and he said, no, that sounds too much like an announcer. We just want like a regular, cool, laid-back kind of guy, you know. And by the time they got to me, I kind of figured out what they were looking for. They were looking for a punk. So I walked in there and I said, okay, now this kind of pisses me off. And they went, what? And I said, well, I mean, I worked all weekend on this great robot voice, and you don't even want to hear it? And they went, well, I guess we could hear it. Fine. If you want to hear it, I mean, if you really want to hear it, I'll do it. And they said, okay, do it. And I did some stupid robot voice, and they went, that's terrible. And I said, I know, but I just wanted a chance to do it. And then I said, so what is it that you're looking for? And they said, I think you know what we're looking for. Because you've been giving it to us the whole time you walked in. And I said, okay. And so I basically got the part right away off of that. And when I landed that role, I realized that I had stumbled onto a career. You know, it had never been my intention to be a voice actor, although I dreamt of it when I was a kid, you know, because I was one of those kids who did all the impressions and things like that, and my father did voices and stuff, taught me how to do Donald Duck when I was 4 years old. So, but to actually, you know, do that for a living was just something that didn't really happen. So it was amazing to actually have that as an opportunity. And at that time, you know, I was still struggling to make it as a comic book artist, you know. I'd had 12 books published, and that was my main goal. But to land as a voice actor was pretty remarkable. Yeah, I think that answers your question, right? How did I get into voice acting was your question, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you worked with Frank Welker before, right?
Worked with who?
Frank Welker?
On what?
Maybe.
I think so, maybe.
He must have been around Nicktoons Studio once or twice.
Nicktoons?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't do it Nicktoons. Funimation has its own studios. Yeah, I have been in Nicktoons, but that was years ago because a friend of mine is a director, or used to be a director there. They just gave me a tour, but that's another story. Yes?
Out of curiosity, why did they switch Frieza's voice?
I don't think she was available. Right, I mean, it's 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Things change. Most of our original cast are there, but there are some changes that have been made. You know, it's hard to keep an entire cast for that long. Huh?
I've heard rumors, is Travis going to be Cell?
I heard that too. I'm not sure that I'm allowed to say yes or no.
Probably not.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It'd be a good choice though, because he and Damien are basically the same kind of type, you know, and they have similar ranges as well. Yeah.
In your directing work and your adaptation work of manga or anime, what has been the most interesting and challenging anime to translate into for the American audience?
What is the most interesting animated show to... you know, I think it would have to be Fruits Basket.
Yes.
You know, and I have to say that Fruits Basket was directed by Justin Cook. And I had just such a small part in that, but I remember years ago, before Justin became a main producer, he said, "Have you seen Fruits Basket yet?" And I said, "No, you know, I don't think I would watch something like that." And he goes, "Oh, you're gonna watch it." And he just handed me a stack of them, right? And I took them home, and my wife and daughter and I started watching them, and we spent the entire day watching the whole series because we were just so hooked on it, you know? It was really good, and it was really Japanese, you know? And until that point, Funimation had a policy that we were to Americanize all of our products, right? And so that's why you get a lot of crazy stuff in Dragon Ball Z, like Mondo Cool and shit like that. Because that was that was their intention. They figured that would be the best way to sell a product, right? And I remember when Justin put out this thing, and all of a sudden, I was directing at the time too, and all of our directors were called into a meeting, and they were told basically, this is how we do not direct shows. It's like Fruits Basket. We don't want to make it Japanese, we want to try to make it American, right? And so we're all like, wow, but that is so good though, right? Well, 2 weeks later, the reviews came out, and everyone loved it, and was going all over the internet how cool this anime is, and how true it is to the original Japanese, and everything like that. So suddenly, Justin's called into the office to be given praise, you know? And now he's one of the main producers, so he must have been onto something. And so I credit him for the major direction of quality that Funimation went into after that. Because before that, a lot of times we were hailed as the damnation of animation. You know, we were actually destroying the industry, is what we were considered. And then after that, we did Full Metal Alchemist, and the quality of our work just started going up, up, and up. So we realized that if you could, you know, just because they're from another country doesn't mean they're not human beings that we can't relate to. If you be true to it, people will relate to it. And it won't be so awkward, you know. Like some companies really push, you know, the Americanization. I'll never say that out loud. But yeah, it does happen that way, and to the detriment, because I think that they think that American audiences won't get it, but they're wrong. I mean, occasionally there are certain Japanese jokes that most people would not get. So you might have to make that an American equivalent of that. But generally, the intention is going to resonate by whoever watches it, you know? So I think that our rule after that was to try to stay as true to the original intention as possible, you know? As a matter of fact, when I was directing Lupin the Third, I told my cast, you know, you can ad-lib anything you want, and if you can come up with something funnier, please do it. But make sure it stays to the original intention, you know? Because there's 1,000 ways to say something, as long as the intention is there. Yeah?
You guys are doing the audio for Dragon Ball Z. Has anybody ever passed up on screen for 40 minutes straight?
Sean Schimmel came close to passing out, I thought. But he's a pussy, so... No, he's not. Sean Schimmel's a great guy. I have a really good story about Sean Schimmel. I was directing him in a Lupin movie. He played a villain, and he had gas. And he was in the booth farting. And to his credit, he kept the door shut, but he kept telling us about it. He's like, "You do not want to come in here, man." We're like, "You're right, keep that door closed." And I remember at one point, there's a vent in the back, you know, and he was like this one. Trying to get some fresh air from his own stank. So, I recorded with him for several hours this way, and then his session was over and he left, and to his credit again, he shut the door really quick so no one would have to share, right? And then he left. And then I went and had a little break, and I went back in because I was about to direct again to someone else. It was Laura Bailey. And I'd forgotten what had happened that entire day. And so she goes into the booth, she closed the door, and I'm sitting there. She says, "Okay, so now this character you're going to be playing for me today is," and I hear, "What?" She goes, "What's that smell?" And I went, "Oh my God! Get out! Get out! Abort! Abort!" She like runs out. What is that? I said, "I'm sorry, Sean had gas in there." She went, So I told Sean Schimmel about this the next day, and he said, "Yes." So the moral is, you should respect all evil. And he's an evil bastard. But Laura has it coming, though. Laura Bailey is not as sweet as you think she is.
Really?
I remember one time I was working at Okratron 5000, which is Chris Sammett's studio, and I was checking my MySpace. Do you remember what MySpace was? It was a little archaic friend finder thing. And I was checking my MySpace, and I forgot to log out. I got home and I checked it again, and my profile picture was this 90-year-old woman in a bikini. She was 120 or something, and on there, and so I looked. Oh, that's cool. I wonder who did that and how. So I put on there, Weight Watchers is working, and I left it up for 2 weeks, but nobody owned up to it, you know. And then finally, 2 weeks later, Laura writes me and she goes, "This is what I love about you. You left it up." I said, "It was you?" I would have never suspected. Then I found out she's a notorious prankster. Yeah, so she deserves to be in a booth with Sean's farts. No one deserves that. No one deserves that at all. Yes, you in the back with the blonde hair.
Is there a character that whenever you see, you wish, "Oh, I wish I did that voice"?
You know, I've been very fortunate to get the parts I really, really had to have, you know. Like Usopp was one of those parts I just really wanted really bad, and so was Maes Hughes, and Krillin was definitely one of those characters, and Tsunami Tom as well. So there's not any I just went, "Oh man, I wish I could have done that," or I could have done it. But I have auditioned for stuff before that I didn't get cast for, and the people that they cast, I think, are not nearly as good as what I could have done with that part. But the problem is that a lot of times it's the way they direct, the way they cast, is that they, you're just given a list of lines, right? And so you try to read them as best as you can, but you don't know what the director's looking for, and we don't get to see the original Japanese. So, and when I hear what they finally come up with, I went, "Oh, that's what you were looking for. I could have done that." And I had a more convincing accent, you know, whatever. But generally, though, I feel very fortunate that I get the parts that I've wanted, you know. And maybe that's why I got them, because of the parts, those are the parts I really wanted, you know. Yeah.
Why are you so fond of Krillin other than the fact that he did his voice?
Krillin is an awesome character. I mean, he's got quite a range. First of all, he gets highly emotional. You know, he's looking for love in all the wrong places, and oh my God, Krillin to me is the bravest character in the whole Dragon Ball Z saga. Krillin, because someone told me once that the definition of courage is not being without fear. The definition of courage is being afraid, but doing what has to be done anyway. And you know, if you've got somebody like Goku who like, you know what, I probably could take him, you know, and he goes out there and fights, so what? You got somebody like Krillin who knows he's going to die, but maybe if he goes out there, he can buy Goku a couple of more minutes to save the day. That's courage, you know. That's a pretty remarkable thing. I mean, and plus, as an actor, you love doing death scenes, you know. And he dies 4 times. How often do you get to do that and still end the series alive, you know? Yeah, and plus he's, you know, it'd be cool. Like, I think a lot of people ask me this question, like they say, but he always, you know, gets his ass kicked or whatever, you know. And it's like, would you rather play one of the guys who's kicking ass? It's like, no, because they're boring, you know. I mean, you would want to be that character for real, but you wouldn't, because you wouldn't want your ass kicked all the time. But you know, if you're playing a character who talks like this, like a Clint Eastwood character, and that's the level he stays on all the time, it's not that fun, you know. But if you have a character who's going, oh my God, you know, that's fun, you know, and you get to do that all day. That's why he is my favorite, and he's also my favorite because I've done him the longest. You know, he and I have started the industry together. You know, I mean, I was very green going in, and I've watched myself get better doing Krillin. You know, he's sort of my gauge of how well I'm doing. So yeah, he's the one's nearest and dearest to my heart. Yeah.
Do you have you ever, doing all your characters, have you seen their personalities kind of influence your personality, or vice versa, after acting with them?
You know, like Lupin III has a real smarmy kind of voice, right? And when I was doing it, when I would come home, my wife could tell I was recording Lupin that day. She'd say, "Oh, you were recording Lupin today?" I said, "How can you tell?" And it's like still there. And it was some of that actually, because I was doing that before Hughes, and some of that actually made it into Hughes' voice too. You can hear it sometimes. Hey, come on, let's look at this. You know, it's really close. But there are some really strange things that I don't know if I had always done it or if it was the character that influenced me. Like Krillin, you know, laughs like, and sometimes I'll be laughing like, did I always do that? And I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if that came from me or came from Krillin. Although I went to visit my dad recently, and I said something that really cracked him up, and he was like, and I went, wonder if I got it from him. You know? So Krillin laughs like my dad. So, and you know, after you do it so much, you really don't. The lines become very blurred, you know. So I have no idea what influenced what. Yes?
So in Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and Full Metal, did you try out for anyone else other than the character you got?
We always try out for all the characters. But you know, there are certain characters that if you know about it and you want to push for it, do it. And I think actually I was asked to come in for Full Metal Alchemist because they were considering me as one of the Hughes for that. So, but yeah, I did audition for other parts. And on One Piece I auditioned for other parts, but I knew that I wanted Usopp. That was one of the only auditions I've ever been to that I really got to hear the Japanese first, because you know we were redoing it after 4Kids had it, and the Japanese creator wanted a hand in casting us. Yeah, so they actually let us listen to it, and I heard that, and I went, oh, that's good. You know, I want that. But yeah, generally we audition for most of the leads. You know, you're given what they call sides, and sides are a picture of the character, their name, a brief history, and about 5 to 10 lines. And you go through that, and you generally say, can you pick out 2 or 3 that you think you could nail, you know? So that's what you do, you go through that, and I definitely picked Hughes as one of the characters. I can't remember the other characters I read for, maybe Roy, but that might have been a little young. Yeah. That would have been a different character altogether, wouldn't it?
How would your Roy sound?
I don't know. Hughes. Don't call me. Yes?
You mentioned that several times about how they just give you a picture in lines. Do you
Yeah.
know why? Because as you said, when you did Lupin, you were talking about how you did lines and then had them listen.
I don't know, I think that's just the way they always did it, and they thought that was the most efficient way to do it. But and it takes a lot to set up, you know, recordings that, you know, actors can watch first. And now, we have hundreds of actors in our stable, right? So it's kind of difficult to like give time for all those people. But with One Piece, that was not an open audition. That was like they handpicked actors they wanted to come in to audition, and because they didn't want to mess this up. You know, they didn't want to give they didn't want to send anything to Japan that they might have like, what the hell? You know, it sucks. They wanted to send the people that they had the most track records of performance. Yes?
When you auditioned for Dragon Ball Z, was there any characters specifically you wanted to play?
But I really wanted Krillin, and I remember I wanted Vegeta.
That would have been cool.
That would have been cool, punk. That would have been amazing. Yeah, that was one I wanted. I read for Goku, but I even knew my voice wasn't quite right for Goku. I mean, it needs a bit more pure sound, you know. And there's not a lot of things that are pure about me. Now, Krillin, he became a martial artist because he wanted a girlfriend. I can relate to that. Yeah. Yes.
Finally, okay. Back to Maes. When the director told you that Maes was gonna die, what was your first reaction?
Crap. But, and I tell you what, Mike, he told me a week beforehand, he said, oh, by the way, your character dies next week. And I went, what? He said, but, this is a really important episode, you know, it's a very pivotal moment. I want you to take this script, and we don't usually get to read the script ahead of time. But he gave me the script and gave me the original Japanese to watch so that I can become really familiar with the scene. And of course, when he died, the same director showed me all the websites where people were crying that he died. Which was, I had to say like Sean Schimmel, yes. That's awesome. I made people cry. And what is your question?
You mentioned that you're not very pure. Did you happen to do anything with Shin-chan?
Yeah, I play Grandpa Jin.
Yes! Oh, I love Grandpa.
Yes, I mean, talk about people who aren't pure. Grandpa Jin is not pure. I just recorded an episode where he makes out with his daughter-in-law's sister.
Still making Shin-chan episodes?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
awesome. Because I
Oh,
watched them all.
I don't know if I'm supposed to announce that. No, we're not. We're not. I'm thinking of something we did years ago.
I didn't hear it.
Exactly. No, okay, cool.
Hear what?
Yeah, I love Grandpa Jin though. I mean, he sings in an E Street cover band, you know. He's like, baby, we were born to run. And he's all talking. He rides motorcycles and reminds me of my dad. My dad's kind of a combination of Grandpa Jin and Master Roshi. And a little Popeye thrown in. I remember when he first met Sean Schimmel. He came out to Comic-Con because he lived in California at the time, and he was talking to Sean, and he came over and says, "Yeah, I was just talking to your buddy Sheen over there." Scene. So he said, "Scene over there," and I said, "Scene? Sean? S-E-A-N, Dad? Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess that's the way you pronounce that." My dad is originally from Mississippi and moved to Texas when he was a kid, so he's got a very interesting way of speaking. And he's an old biker. When I was 4 and my brother was 2, my mom and dad had matching motorcycles, and we would ride on the gas tank. No helmet, we just ride on it. This would not be allowed today, but back then in the 60s, I guess anything goes.